What's up, everyone? This is your channel TFD, bringing you breaking news straight off the press. We're heading all the way up to Indy. Let's get it, let's go. All right, so here's the big one. The Indiana Fever are waving goodbye to DeWanna Bonner and bringing Aari McDonald back into the fold. Let me tell you, it is never a dull moment with the Indiana Fever this season. Last year was wild, but this year, it's on another level. So the news broke late yesterday afternoon. Costabile, the shams of the WNBA, dropped the report that DeWanna Bonner had no intention of returning to the Fever. She was out for the game against the Seattle Storm and had missed 4 previous games before that. You could just feel something was up. When Steph White was asked about Bonner in the pregame interview, you could hear it in her voice. She wasn't really in contact, and the day before, her tone was just off. She said she hoped Bonner was doing okay, but it just didn't seem right.
Again, no timeline.
How is she doing? Is there any timeline for her return?
Yeah, she's doing well. She's doing well. Again, no timeline. I think it's day to day, and for us to just make sure that we're continuing to be supportive of DB.
Obviously, there were reports today that DB isn't or doesn't intend to return to the team. Just what conversations have you had with her and with the front office about that?
Yeah, I've had a lot of conversations recently. Really been focused on the group that we have right here, and what we need to do to position ourselves to win.
I didn't buy into the Banner rumors or anything like that. I just don't see the Fever making a petty or unprofessional move. And turns out that wasn't the case. But you could tell something was coming. The longer Bonner sat out for personal reasons, the more it ate into the Fever's cap space, and they had to figure out their next move. They looked at trade options, but nothing came through. In the end, the decision was made to just cut ties, let her go, and move on. And in her place, they're bringing back Aari McDonald, who impressed everyone in her brief stint earlier this year. McDonald's ready to go, and the Fever are ready to roll with the group they've got. So this right here is coming straight from Chloe Peterson, and this is what DeWanna Bonner had to say in her statement. I want to sincerely thank the Indiana Fever for the opportunity to be part of the Fever franchise. Despite our shared goals and excitement heading into the season, I felt the fit did not work out, and I appreciate the organization's willingness to grant my request to move on, particularly at this point in my career. I wish the Fever great success as they continue to build around this dynamic group of young players. Now, look, I'm just going to keep it real. That doesn't sound like DeWanna Bonner's personal words. That was definitely a polished, PR-approved message. But hey, she didn't have to say anything at all, so you gotta respect that. Saying something graceful like that, even if it's scripted, helps keep her image clean. Because let's be honest, no team wants to sign someone they think might be a locker room problem. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Enter Aari McDonald. If you've been watching closely, this all lines up. While a bunch of WNBA players were heading off for Eurobasket and others were signing hardship contracts, Aari didn't sign with anybody. And it was kind of weird because after her showing with the Fever, she turned heads. Like seriously, she became the free agent to watch. She's a 3-level scorer. She's lightning fast. She's got vision and elite court IQ. And she can shoot from deep. A point guard like that, in today's WNBA, that's a weapon. So you'd think teams would be fighting to get her. But she waited. And now it makes sense. It looks like the timing of DeWanna Bonner stepping away just aligned perfectly. Maybe the Fever weren't initially planning to bring in Aari, but the longer Bonner sat out, the clearer it got. They had to move forward. And Aari McDonald was right there, ready. And here's the kicker. She signed for the vet minimum, $53,000. That tells you one thing. Indiana Fever ain't done yet. They've got cap space. They've got roster flexibility. Another move is likely coming. But make no mistake, even if this wasn't the plan, this could be a huge win for Indiana. Aari gives them a legitimate ball handler who can take pressure off Caitlin Clark. When Caitlin sits, or even when she slides off the ball, boom, Aari steps in. Offense doesn't stall. She can attack the paint, shoot the 3, and run the offense with pace. So look, this whole Bonner situation might have seemed like a mess at first, but it's looking more and more like a blessing in disguise. So, here's what's up. Damaris Danas is out, currently repping Brazil at the Aari Cup, and that's leaving the Fever frontcourt looking real thin. Like, real thin. Right now, they're rolling with Bree Turner, and man, I don't want to pile on, but come on. We literally saw her inbound the ball directly to the other team in crunch time the other day. That's just not it. That's not what you want from your veteran presence down low. Then you've got Michaela Timpson, who, let me be honest, has crazy potential. I'm talking a 6 feet 10 inches wingspan, the frame, the length, the tools, all there. But the problem is, she's not getting minutes. Coach Steph just hasn't given her a real run, and that matters. You can't grow into a force in this league if you're not logging court time against the Aja Wilsons, the Nafisa Colliers of the world. You need that experience to get savvy and start imposing your will. And of course, there's Natasha Howard. She's steady, she's a vet, she holds things together. But man, sometimes she makes some real head-scratcher plays. Like, she'll have a solid possession, then the very next time down the court the ball just slips out of her hands like it's greased. Turnovers piling up like that in key moments, it's tough to win games that way. So yeah, this front court needs help. And I don't think for a second that the Indiana Fever front office is sitting on their hands right now, especially after the Bonner McDonald swap. They've got cap space, they've got flexibility, and they're clearly in win-now mode with Caitlin Clark and this young core. Don't be surprised if they go out and snag a big. Somebody who can give them rim protection, rebounding, physicality, something they're definitely lacking right now. Now here's something worth paying attention to. The Indiana Fever did have about $36,000 left in cap space to work with. But then they waived DeWanna Bonner, who was on an unprotected $200,000 contract. And since we're about a third of the way through the season, that means they only paid her roughly $66,000 before parting ways. So do the math. That leaves about $133,000 freed up from Bonner's deal. Add that to the $36,000 they already had, you're looking at $169,000 to play with. Then they turn around and signed Aari McDonald for $53,000, which is a solid pickup, by the way, and now they've still got around $116,000 left. Now I get it, $116,000 doesn't sound like much in pro sports. Might even feel laughable to some folks, but in WNBA terms, that's actually a decent chunk of cap space. And if you've been paying attention to how successful WNBA teams build their rosters, you'll notice a trend. A lot of them are going overseas. The New York Liberty, for instance, they got a pipeline of Euro talent, draft and stashes, some of whom haven't even touched the court yet. Minnesota's done it. Phoenix has done it. They're grabbing those international stars and integrating them smartly. So I'm sitting here wondering, could the Fever be next? Could they be eyeing a unicorn big from Europe? Somebody who can stretch the floor, anchor the paint, and protect the rim? Because let's be real, Indiana's rebounding has been rough this season, and if they're serious about contending or even just growing around Caitlin Clark, they need that interior presence badly. Now let's talk about the Aari McDonald signing real quick, because honestly, that just seemed like a matter of circumstance. Aari was available. She was there. And when the news broke that DeWanna Bonner didn't want to come back, I wouldn't be surprised if Kelly or Amber had a quick little conversation with Aari like, hey, if you wait for us, we'll get you paid. And boom, the deal gets done. But honestly, I see this as a positive. This all came on the heels of a big Indiana Fever win. A game they were not favored to win, by the way, and the timing couldn't be better. Because what this game showed us is that even with Caitlin Clark in a bit of shooting slump, this team can still step up. They can still compete. They can still carry the load when she's either on the bench or not firing at full force. Fever can win without Caitlin Clark. I meant they can survive moments without her, like when she's off the court or going through a tough stretch. Because let's be honest, Caitlin definitely impacted that win. Even in a slump, she's creating plays, finding teammates, bringing gravity that opens up the floor. So no, I'm not one of those people saying Caitlin's fallen off. She's just finding new ways to win. And that's what great players do. You know, the news about DeWanna Bonner just, man, it really bummed me out. I was rooting for her so hard this season. I was genuinely excited. I thought she was going to be a huge veteran presence for the Indiana Fever. But with every game, it just became more and more obvious she didn't fit. Like at all. And that lines up with what league sources told Front Office Sports, right? That she didn't feel like it was a fit. And yeah, it definitely wasn't. But what really stings for me is how it ended. Like, she just stopped playing. That's how it came off. It feels a little like abandonment, if I'm being honest. Like, who just decides, I don't want to be on this team anymore, and then checks out mid-season. And I think a lot of fans are feeling the same way. It's kind of like, all right, Dana, don't let the door hit you on the way out. But now I'm honestly on the edge of my seat wondering what the Indiana Fever are going to do next. Because this move freed up space, changed the dynamic, and now there's a big opportunity. Maybe to bring in someone who actually fits, who wants to be here, and who can help take this team to the next level. Aari McDonald. Man, she's going to bring some juice to this team. She's going to keep the pace up. She's not afraid to pull from three, and despite her size, she'll drive hard into the paint like it's nothing. She's tenacious, she's tough, and she brings that scrappy, gritty energy every time she steps on the court. And honestly, she's a perfect role player. No, she's not a superstar, but that's not what the Fever need right now. What they need are solid, reliable role players who can come in, contribute, and give this team depth. And Aari fits that mold perfectly. So I'm not mad at all about this pickup. I actually like it a lot. Indiana's not just swinging for big names, they're starting to build a team, and that means finding the right pieces to fit around Caitlin Clark and company. And Aari, she's one of those pieces. So now, get down, in comments section, tell us what you're thinking about this. Don't forget like and subscribe for daily updates.